Hello design lovers, I'm Ashley Childers and today I'm walking you through how to style your home for summer, including my favorite styling tips and easy to achieve floral arrangements to give your home a fresh look for the new season. I know you're going to love today's video and it's going to get you inspired to style your home for summer. So be sure to hit the subscribe button as we drop a new design video every Saturday. Now let's head into the kitchen to create some easy floral arrangements first, and then we'll get to styling our spaces for the season. Okay friends, we are in my kitchen and it is time to make some beautiful and easy summer floral arrangements for your summer refresh in your home. And I have some of my very favorite summer flowers here on the island. We have white ranunculus, and then these sweet little, they're called chamomile, but they look like tiny little daisies to me. This is just white filler that I grabbed at our local supermarket, and then some really pretty purple tulips. So I want to start with the very easiest arrangement you could possibly do, and that is just a bunch of daisies or chamomile. So this is actually two bunches from the supermarket, and we have daisies growing in our garden, but they're not white, and I really wanted to do kind of a white palette for the summer refresh. So this is just two bunches right here, and I love how they look so wild, and they just remind me of summer with their happy little yellow centers. So we're going to literally keep them wild just like this. I mean, I basically just took the plastic off of these bouquets from the supermarket, and I'm just fluffing them before I trim the bottom. So you can see that's what it looks like. I think it's so fun and beautiful. And I'm going to grab this fluted vase from my collection, which I already put water in. I love this vase because it's a really great size and shape for if you buy a bouquet at the supermarket. I'm always trying to make sure that when I design ceramics or glassware that I really think about practicality. And this one's just a really great everyday vase. We have it on our site. And I am just going to, this is always what I do. I literally just take my vase, kind of figure out the height that I want the arrangement to be, and then look and see where I need to snip. Where are my snippers? Here they are. So we're just gonna take the bottom of the little stems and just snip them off at that height that I wanted them. And I always try to snip at a 90-degree angle. It helps the flowers pull water up into the stem. And then of course, we've got to take all of the leaves off of the bottom of these stems, because the leaves are going to create bacteria in the water. We want to keep the water as fresh as possible and as clean as possible so that our little stems last as long as they can. And I actually have bought these chamomile flowers several times this summer, and they usually last like 2 weeks, honestly. If I keep the water changed probably every 4 or 5 days, then they just last forever, which is a bonus because they were like $3 a bunch. Okay, so we have the stems all cut off, and any leaves that would fall below the water line all pinched off as well. And then all we have to do is literally place into our vase, and I like to kind of fluff them out so they can be wild and take up a lot of visual space, and literally like easiest arrangement of the summer right there. And it's so cute, and it will last for at least a week. Okay, let's move on to our next floral arrangement, and this is probably one of my favorites because we are going to use a floral frog. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I love creating really fun and whimsical arrangements with floral frogs. So we're going to use tulips in this arrangement, and I want to share a little tip with you. If you take a penny and put it down in your vase or bowl before you put your water in or after you put your water in. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. The penny will help your tulips from being droopy. Or if your tulips have already become droopy, a penny in the water, if you take the stems out, cut them again, put a penny down in the water, put fresh water in there, it will make your tulips stand back up. It's absolutely amazing. The copper in the penny acts as a fungicide, and it's like a miracle. I use this tip all the time, so be sure to do that at home as well. So we've got our penny in our water. We're going to take our floral frog, this is a pretty good size one, and put it down in the water as well. And we're going to start building our fun arrangement with tulips. Now, normally I would cut the tulip bottom at a 45-degree angle if I was doing an arrangement, but since we've got the floral frog in the bowl, we really need to cut the bottom of the stem flat so there's more surface area to fit down into the floral frog. So I'm going to make a flat snip at the bottom of the tulip and then start pressing my tulips onto my floral frog. And this is honestly one of my very favorite ways to make arrangements. I think they're so fun and funky looking because it's like the flowers are coming out of this bowl. I might need to make that one shorter. We'll have to see how he does. He may start drooping over too far, but just play around with it when you are doing this type of arrangement. Kind of takes some practice and time, but I think it's so fun to create. Okay, so I finished putting the tulips on our floral frog, and as you can see, it just makes a fun little statement. I love the tulips coming out of the bowl, and really the only way to make this work is with a floral frog. So now I want to take some sheet moss and just kind of tuck it around the base of the tulip stems because I like for it to look like it's coming out of moss. And then this also covers the floral frog. And this bowl is not, sometimes I make these arrangements in a really shallow dish, so I have to add water quite often, but this bowl is pretty deep, so maybe every 3 or 4 days I could add more water or change the water out so it stays fresh. And if your tulips start to droop, of course, the penny trick is a great go-to. And then also you can just, there's only a few stems in here, so you could just take the tulips out and snip them a little shorter to make them stand up. Okay, so we have the finished product with our fun little tulip arrangement, and I just want to point out that I did have to trim the tulips down a little bit. They got real long and leggy, and that's totally fine. It's part of the process. So when you are creating floral arrangements at your home, give yourself some grace when you're doing so, and if you have to make some adjustments, make adjustments. It makes it even more beautiful. So this is our finished product, and I think it is just the cutest little summer arrangement. Okay, let's move on to our next arrangement. Okay, we are moving on to our next quick and fun, easy summer arrangement. And this one we are using white ranunculus. I love these flowers, and they actually last a really long time. They have a great vase life. So if you're ever at the supermarket or your local farmer's market and you can grab some, I highly recommend it. They're just beautiful. And I love the kind of abstract wispy quality of them. So I want to do this arrangement in this little vintage vase I have that speaks to the beautiful watery blue that I am focusing on this season for our decor. So when I'm doing an arrangement that's easy in a vase like this, I really just like to kind of arrange the flowers in my hand the way that I want them to fall in the vase. And I definitely want some highs and lows with these. Like, I don't want them to all be the same height. I think it kind of creates a more artistic arrangement when you have them in different heights and things like that. So once I've got them somewhat where I want, then I would just want to take my trimmer and snip off all of the bottom of the stem so that they make a flat arrangement down at the bottom, so that when I put them into the vase, they actually will end up being in that same kind of heights that I created when I held the bouquet in my hand. So we did that. Let's see how it goes. I may have to trim them a little bit more, but oh no, I actually like it. So now that they're in the vase, I just want to kind of play with them a little bit so we have some sprouting out every direction. Okay, so there we have it. That was such a fast little arrangement to put together. And as you can see, it is just so fun and abstract and perfect for summer styling. Okay, so these are the last two arrangements we're going to do today, and I chose these two vases. These are from my collection. These are our double take vases with this beautiful seeded glass, and I love these vases because once again, they're a great size to create floral arrangements, but also I really like that you can see down inside of the vase. So when you can see inside of the vase, you're using a clear vessel, you want to make sure that the stems look just as pretty as what's happening up top. So let's start building out these two arrangements. I am just going to create them out of these fun little flowers. And I like the simplicity of that. And sometimes on a tablescape, I like to put two arrangements that are the exact same thing, but they are at varying heights. So we're going to do that now. Let's start with our taller vase. So I cut this earlier. I kind of played around with the height that I wanted for these little stems, and this is kind of the perfect height that I'm going for. So use that as your template. Figure out what height you want, and it will help you as you are cutting the rest of the stems that are going to go in the vase. So I'm gonna just, like I did earlier, build that out, kind of hold them in my hand and figure out how I want them to look. He's kind of crazy. He's straight up how I want them to look in the vase. So maybe we'll start with something like that, and see, I've got that short one that I cut earlier. So then now I know exactly where to cut the rest of my stems. Also, we need to think about the leaves. So I do like the leaves on these stems, but we want to make sure that nothing is happening below the water line so that we can keep our arrangement fresh for as long as possible. Okay, so there we have it. Super easy and simple arrangements. Now, one little pro tip when you are creating arrangements in a clear vessel and you need some support, a lot of times what I will do is take the stems around the edge, and then what happens is it creates this little web of stems within the vase, and then you can use that web of stems to kind of stick and support the central stems if you want some in the center, so everything's not just like splayed out around the edge. And it works perfectly, and as you can see, it's fun and funky up here, and then of course being able to see the stems, I think, is just a really beautiful little detail as well. Okay, now that we have finished up with our fun and easy summer floral arrangements, let's move on to styling our rooms for the new season. So let's talk through styling your entry for summer. So this little vignette is fresh and fun, and I want to talk through the elements that I added in. So First, I grounded the whole tablescape with this really beautiful Bengal vase from my collection. I love the scale of it. I use it in the entry often, and I love the crisp white color. I think it's perfect for summer styling. I always add in live branches. These are from a maple tree in our yard, and they stay fresh for a couple of weeks, so they look beautiful and add a little summery touch to the entry. Next, I always like to add some different heights and layers, and I do that through a lot of times adding in architecture books. I love this AD book. The color of it is beautiful, and it creates a little pedestal or riser, if you will, for the alabaster candle holders. These alabaster candle holders are from my home collection, and I love the quality that the alabaster brings to the vignette. I think whenever you can add in a natural stone material to a table vignette, it always adds a layer of natural beauty. Next, we added in this stone riser and then our fun little tulip arrangement that we created earlier. And I think it just creates such a fun little interesting artful pop on the entry table. And as you can see, adding the stone riser underneath just kind of elevates the arrangement. It makes it feel even more special. The very last thing I added to this vignette was this little blue bowl. And the reason I did that is because blue, this watery blue, is the color of the season for my home. And if you've seen my spring styling video, you'll know that I always pick a little color to kind of hallmark each season. And I oftentimes do blue in the summer. And this summer, I chose this really beautiful watery blue. And I wanted to bring that color into the foyer of our home because you'll see it pop up elsewhere in the other rooms of my home. So just adding this fun little handmade ceramic bowl in that beautiful watery blue color adds that pop of summer to this gorgeous tablescape. Let's head into the great room so I can show you how I have styled a couple of the vignettes in there to bring a summery vibe into my home. We're in our great room, and I want to talk through some of the design elements that I have used in here for our summer styling refresh. And first and foremost, I want to talk about the color of the season for me. So I decided to use a really beautiful watery blue and bring that element into my space through throw pillows and decorative accessories and a throw blanket. And that's really all of the items that I needed to inject that beautiful watery blue color into our space for the summer season. So let's talk about first this coffee table vignette. So I restyle this coffee table a lot. If you have seen some of my other videos, it's one of the furniture pieces in my home that I enjoy styling the very most because it has two different levels of a glass surface, so I can style the top and bottom and use different elements every season. So over here, the first thing that I started with is this beautiful ceramic bowl. This is the Bengal bowl from my collection. I designed this, and we have it made in Portugal by some really incredible ceramic artists. So I love using a large bowl or tray to kind of ground a coffee table vignette, and this is a perfect option for the summer because it's white, it has this beautiful decorative detail, and it just kind of lifts the entire table vignette. Next to it, I added this fun arrangement that we made earlier. This is that sweet chamomile arrangement that we created in my kitchen. It is so fresh and summery, and I love how the little pop of yellow kind of adds a fun element to the vignette. Next, of course, we have our stack of cocktail table books, and I love this little stack of books because the spine and book cover are white, and I think it just adds a nice little lift to the space. And then, of course, it ties into the bowl, the ceramic bowl that we have on the opposite end of the table. Then, of course, our marble pedestal, I added that next. And then this beautiful candle that is also from my collection. This is a gorgeous handmade glass piece that we added into the collection last year. We make it in partnership with these incredible glass artists from Poland. This is actually an oil candle. So you just add clear candle oil into the bottom of this, and I'm going to show you, you just light it and it burns a really beautiful flame, and it goes on obviously for hours and hours because it has the oil inside of it. So I love that piece. It's beautiful, and I think it adds a fun little element that is unique and decorative. And of course, the last little elements that I added to this table vignette are this beautiful bowl. So this is where I bring in that watery blue color. This is a handmade ceramic bowl, and I love, love, love the color. It's absolutely perfect for the season. And then this pretty little brass lighter, and that's really all I needed. I added a few things on the bottom, some of our alabaster trays and a little bowl, and as you can see, this entire table vignette really just exudes summer elegance, and that's what I'm all about in our great room. We've moved over to this little table vignette, and I want to talk you through this styling and then also talk to you about some elements that you can add into your space to bring that pop of seasonal color. So on this table, I decided to go more minimal, and I actually did that throughout our entire house for the summer season. I think that when you pare back your styling and you use strategic elements in that bright white and the color of the season, it just adds a fresh vibe to the space. So on this table, I, of course, added our stack of books because I always love a stack of books, and these beautiful white books are perfect for the season. And then, of course, I added this beautiful bowl next. This is from my collection. It is alabaster, and I love the color of it no matter the season, but it is perfect for summer. And lastly, I added our little flower arrangement that we created earlier, and this is in a beautiful vintage vase. And the color, that summer color that I love, that watery blue, comes through in the gorgeous ceramic glaze. That's really all I needed on this side of the room. I wanted the styling to be simple and straightforward and elegant. Now, when you are adding elements to your home for summer styling, a really great way to bring your color of the season in is through pillows and decorative accessories, like I said earlier. So I'm going to show you how just changing out or adding some pillows to your sofa or side chairs can really make a difference. Also, maybe even adding a little throw blanket in the color of the season for your home can add a little pop of color in an unexpected place. As we've moved over to the other side of our great room, I want to talk to you a little bit more about styling for summer. So as I said before, I really like to pare it back. If you have watched my Design Personalities video, you know that I am a curator, but I'm also a collector, meaning that I have lots of beautiful decorative accessories that I love to keep in my home and style different ways periodically. So in the summer months, I do like to kind of pare it back and make my styling a little bit more minimal. And this table is a really good example of that. It's a pretty large table. This is the Paxton cocktail table for my collection, and I think it's like 42 inches or 48 inches. I can't remember the exact diameter, but it's pretty gracious. So on top of this cocktail table, I always like to have lots of really beautiful accessories. But for summer, I pared it back and I went with this beautiful speechy bowl from my collection. This is a ceramic piece from Italy that I designed and have made in an Italian factory that's so fabulous. We, of course, have our cocktail table book that seems like it is a theme. Then these fun little double take vases that have these beautiful little white, simple floral arrangements that we made earlier. And then to bring that little pop of watery blue that I spoke to, that is my color of the season, I just added this beautiful plate on top of the bowl, and that is a handmade ceramic vintage plate. And and I think it adds so much character to the vignette. So when you are thinking through styling your tables for summer, I say just maybe take some things away, be more of an editor, and look at your grouping and think, does this say fresh summer styling? And if it does, then you've got it right. Now in this space, I also added, of course, a little pop of that watery blue with a fun pillow. And then I flanked that pillow with this fun little pick stitch pillow that is linen, creamy linen, and then a beautiful taupe brown linen as well. And I like to keep my textiles light and airy in the summer, and linen is the perfect fabric to do that. We've moved into the kitchen, and I want to talk to you about styling your kitchen for summer. So my approach is always a little more minimal in the summer months than it is the rest of the year. I like to clear away the clutter and decorate with beautiful fruits and white vessels and lots of glassware. So let's talk about the island first. I normally have more kind of accessories on my island, but in the summer months, I like to keep it clean and clear. And really all you need to make a beautiful statement on your island is a gracious bowl and some fruit. I've got a tall kind of overscale vase that I put some magnolia branches in, and then just a little trivet for, you could put your soaps there or whatever, and I have a candle from my collection. I love the statement that this makes. We use our kitchen a lot in the summer for entertaining, so this gives me ample room to put out, you know, food or hors d'oeuvres or plates or whatever we need, but it still makes a really beautiful, artful statement. A couple of pro tips for styling your island for summer is to really go a little bit overscale with your accessories and then pare them back when it comes to quantity. So I have this large bowl. This is from my collection. It's beautiful, and I love that it holds so many limes or oranges or whatever fruit it is that we want to put in there. This is like, I think, a couple of bags of limes from our local supermarket. And then once again, the tall vase, this is also from my collection. You can find it on our website. I really love the scale of this vase because it holds branches perfectly, and then it gets them up high enough that underneath it's still all workable countertop space. I cut these magnolia branches from my yard. I do it about once every couple of weeks, but if you keep the water fresh, magnolia branches last weeks and weeks. Now, when it comes to styling open shelves in a kitchen, I don't recommend changing them up all the time because there are quite a few pieces, especially on ours. We have like 3 layers of open shelves, but I do like to change them seasonally if possible. And this time I did a complete restyling of these shelves in our kitchen. And I went for those whites and clear glass and that kind of watery blue mixed in a little bit with the ceramics that we're using throughout the rest of the house for the summer months. I started out at the very top with a really beautiful piece of art that's kind of summery and ethereal, and then added in some white ceramics from my home furnishings collection on each one of the shelves. This pop of white on each shelf really grounds each one of the shelves and brings that bright summer vibrance to the display. Then I added in some vintage ceramic pieces on each one of the shelves in that watery gray blue color. And then lastly, of course, our everyday plates, wine glasses, because that is not to be missed. Those need to be in an arm's reach. And then I've got a champagne bucket and a sweet little seated glass bowl from my collection. Both of those pieces are from my collection. Down here on the countertop, I kept the theme going with these canisters. These are also from my collection, and I love the seated clear glass. I think it's just the perfect statement for summer. We've got a little leather tray from my collection, the dolly lamp, and then I just finished it off with a ceramic vase, some books, and then a olive wood cutting board. That's really all you need to make a beautiful summer statement. This is quite a lot of items, but because we have so much surface space, I think it just makes a really fun summery statement, and also feels a little more artful because although it is functional, there's some really beautiful decorative pieces included in this grouping. Friends, I hope this week's video inspired you to give your home a beautiful summer refresh. And if you love today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments which tip from today was your very favorite. If you love all things design, be sure to follow us over on Instagram at Ashley Childers Home to get a little sneak peek into my daily design adventures. And if you want even more design goodness right now, you're going to want to watch this playlist next. As always, I'm Ashley Childers. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, good design is for everyone. So create a home that inspires you, have fun styling your home for the summer season, and fall in love with where you live, one room at a time.